Minister for Trade, Tourism and Investment, Mr. Ciobo. Welcome to Laos, welcome to ASEAN, and welcome to Blue Notes.
Pleasure, good to be here, thanks.
I'd like to start by reflecting on the region in which we're sitting, ASEAN.
Yeah.
So this region has got GDP of over 2.5 trillion US dollars, 260 million people, a third of whom are under the age of 20, and an economy that's poised for growth of 5% year on year for the next 50 years. So some very compelling reasons for Australian business to want to enter the region. Can you please give us some insight from your perspective as to the opportunities for Australian business here?
Well, look, the opportunities throughout ASEAN are quite significant. I mean, certainly a lot of Australian businesses recognise that by being early movers in some respects, they can capitalise upon the free trade agreements that we've had in place for some time. I mean, our relationship with ASEAN extends for the last 42 years. It's a relationship that's founded upon collective interest. Certainly the government's been very focused upon making sure that we can facilitate trade. And by trade, I don't just confine that to goods trade. It's agriculture, manufacturers. Increasingly, we want to put focus on what they can do in terms of services trade, and in addition to that, investment as well. The relationship is one that can go from strength to strength for the reasons that you outlined. I mean, population growth, forecast economic growth, structural reforms that's taking place across economies, a willingness to engage with the world. There is tremendous potential among the 10 ASEAN member countries, and Aussie businesses frankly should be at the forefront of that, as many are, but frankly a lot more should be.
I'd really like to hear from you in terms of the importance of that ASEAN-Australian trade relationship going forward.
Well, there is a lot of volatility around the world. I mean, we've seen Brexit, we've seen crisis in relation to the European Union in terms of, well, not so much monetary policy, but in terms of monetary stability and some of those aspects which is causing concern in markets. Question marks about what's going to happen with respect to the US presidential election, all the issues you've outlined. And then, of course, you've got the transitioning Chinese economy and what's going to happen there. Will there be a slowdown? Will it stay at 7% growth? So we're certainly seeing that those economic headwinds globally are causing some ructions back in the Australian economic context. Now, as a government, we've been very focused upon making sure that we're opening up additional opportunities for Australian businesses. We see in the face of this economic volatility that one of the best things as a government that we can do is open up preferential market access into markets for Australian businesses to grow their exports. We believe that that's got to be through services, it's got to be digital economy, it's got to be goods, agribusiness, in so many different areas. We're focused on that because we know that if we get those settings right, if we deliver preferential market access, then it will help to drive economic growth in Australia and help to drive jobs in Australia as well. Now, in a region like ASEAN, we've had in place for a number of years the ASEAN Australia-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement.
Thanks very much for your time. It's been very insightful.
Pleasure.